Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk about The Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 10, Predictions. Now, these are going to be predictions, not spoilers. I will give you one warning. Spoilers are usually everywhere in the comments section, and even though you're being careful, people have been hiding spoilers in their predictions. I know it's sad, but people do it, so don't even bother messing around with the comments on prediction videos. I would say that's the best advice I can give you if you're trying to avoid spoilers. But this video is going to be predictions. If you want to leave your prediction down below, go ahead and leave your prediction, but don't go getting adventurous because you might end up running across a spoiler. With that said, let's talk about the new group, because in this episode I think we're going to focus on three major things. Two major areas. The new group at the junkyard that we're seeing in the preview. That's the same group that surrounded Rick and gang in the previous episode. And we're also going to get the Saviors versus the Kingdom. The Kingdom stuff seems like it's going to splinter off. But those are the main focuses of this episode from what we see in the trailer. So as far as the new group, I wrote down a couple things here that I once said before that it sounds silly to have a new group living in a junkyard. I will partially take that back. It looks pretty damn cool. It looks like the ass end of a tractor trailer, the cargo container, whatever, having that as the entrance or tunnel covered with all the garbage, that shit is pretty cool. But for a realistic idea of actually living at a junkyard, I mean, if you aren't constantly scavenging food for all those people, where are you going to grow food? I mean, I don't know. Unless they're trading with other communities, but we haven't heard any hints of that going on. We don't know if Jesus even knows about this group. He could, because he held back on the Kingdom for so long. This group could be a group he's partially aware of. Maybe he only meets with them at certain outposts. Maybe they're a little sketchy, so he's never been to their junkyard community. One positive I will say that I absolutely love, in the comic they made it seem like there was all these different communities, more than what we know, or more than what we've come to know. And then once Rick and gang enter the story, we only have the Hilltop, the Kingdom, Alexandria, the Sanctuary, and outside of that, we never saw any other communities. So I'm really hoping that the junkyard community is tied into Jesus or the Hilltop and the trading in some type of way. With that being said, there's a moment in the trailer where Rick and that girl with that haircut, what is that shit? I'm not saying it's bad, it's just definitely unique. Well, there's a part where Rick and her, and it looks like two other like elder members of the council, because the majority of the group look rather young, they're standing on top of the hill looking down, and comic book readers, I'm not saying this has anything to do, I'm saying this doesn't have anything to do with the comic book stuff from what we can tell. But there's a part in the comic where a villain later down the line named Alpha brings Rick to a high area and they look down upon a certain crowd. I got that kind of vibe, and I'm wondering if they're going to put any foreshadowing hints. Again, that's just foreshadowing. It has nothing to do with Alpha, the Whispers, nothing at all. It's just little Easter eggs, little foreshadowing moments that sometimes they squeeze in. And it looks like Father Gabriel is at the bottom, and it also looks like the car to the bottom left, where they have the top-down shot, is the same car that Father Gabriel loaded up and left. I feel confident that's the same car, but I suck with cars, so you guys are going to have to tell me down below if that's the same make and model. But Rick and this zombie with the spikes, I get the feeling that this is a test, and I know that seems so weird. Why would you even need to test this guy? And what does this test even do? I mean, he could defeat a walker. Maybe they don't give him a weapon. Maybe he has to, I think it would be pretty cool if he has to break off one of the spikes and not get bit, and then use that spike to lift the zombie's head and, you know, defeat it, kill it, take it down, put it right through its jaw or the side of its head. There's a moment where if you look throughout the whole trailer, Rosita has her hat on and she's standing, same with Aaron, scene, and then you see them both on the ground. Rosita looked like she got gut punched, and her hat is off. And I'm hoping that she continues to be a bitch and somebody puts her in check and just punches her right in the gut. But then you see Eren and it looks like he's on the ground. And I don't know why you would punch Eren. You know what I mean? She's the one being a huge bitch. Now, with that being said, I think the focus there is to simply introduce this new community and then connect it with Rick and gang. And it will eventually evolve to where they are allies. I would be shocked if they became new enemies. Now, next up, we have the Saviors versus the Kingdom people, and I could not tell if there was a truck there and they were trading the meat, the rotted pigs. So this might actually be a unplanned meeting where they just shot up flares and they said, okay, we got to meet, or however else they send messages across. I know in the comic they shot up flares, but this might be an emergency meeting, and it makes sense if that was the case because Simon came to Alexandria looking for Daryl, but they could be coming to the Kingdom people asking them if they rescued any wanderers or took in any survivors. They might not even believe them, or maybe they have orders to go into the kingdom and look and see for themselves. That's going to be something that King Ezekiel is not happy about, and I have a feeling that there's 3 possible ways to get King Ezekiel to say, okay, you know what, let's gather our soldiers and unite with Rick and gang and go to war with Negan. He could kill Ben, he can kill Richard, and I know that is a stretch, but Richard's getting a lot more build-up than he did in the comic. I'm actually really hoping that Richard makes it to All Out War. I think that would be good development for that character, and that would be a good time for that character to die. But they could be building him up enough for him to take the fall, leading to the war. And we do know that Richard is there with the altercation, and then we see King Ezekiel later with Carol, and Richard isn't there, Ben isn't there. So it could be either one of those. Or they could demand that the King Ezekiel allow them into the kingdom to look for this Daryl character that went missing. And I think that would be enough pressure. That alone, you don't even need to kill anyone. That alone would be enough pressure on King Ezekiel to side with Rick or to start looking at alternate options, you know what I mean? Now, when it comes to King Ezekiel in front of Carol, this might be the second step to that. If they're pressing King Ezekiel to go into the kingdom or to do anything like that, similar to that will crumble his whole plan that he's got going on where he's keeping his people in the dark, he's keeping them happy, he's keeping them from being afraid, buckling under the pressure. If that is the case, he could be going to Carol first, and he could be asking her about Rick and gang because they've dealt with them before. Carol's been with them this whole time. He could even ask Morgan what they're like, and he can go and talk with Carol and see what they're like to get 2 different perspectives on that. So that might be why he is in front of Carol. I've only looked at the sneak peek and the one teaser that they showed. So if they showed more and I have no idea, that's why I didn't bring it up in this video, because I just didn't see it. I only saw the sneak peek where they showed everyone walking out and Rick was smiling because he's looking at all these people like, man, these are some soldiers. And it's going to be an interesting thing because Tara is there, and I think that is interesting because they haven't utilized her a hell of a lot, so she could just be the background character that she's been. She's here, she has some funny lines, she's for comedic effect, she's building her own little fan base, but in the same strength, she's already met a community before. She already met the people at Oceanside before. So this could be a situation where her meeting the Oceanside community could be a valuable thing here. That could be valuable information. If some of these people were people from Oceanside, if some of these people knew about Oceanside, if some of these people used to deal with the people from Oceanside before, then Tara could step up and be another, or her information could be another puzzle piece for these communities to start trusting each other, I don't want to go off into some crazy conspiracy theory. All I'm saying is it could be a total coincidence, but it might not, because you have this one community that says every boy, 10 and older, was lined up and killed. I forget if they said they were lined up in front of them, if they actually saw it, or if something else went down. Maybe some people were able to escape. Maybe they didn't actually line them up. Maybe they actually just took them and said they were going to kill them, and something else happened and they were able to get away and they met up with this other community. But I think that is either a coincidence or it connects somehow to Oceanside, and I think that would be very interesting. Think about it. You have this Oceanside community that tried to kill Tara, told you don't ever come back. What is the one gift that could bring this community into the fold and make them love you. You know what I mean? Make them just absolutely open their doors to you. Maybe if you found some of their siblings, some of their children, you know, at this camp, and you can connect the dots. Man, you know what? I feel like that has so much awesome potential, but now I feel like there's something missing. Like maybe they are dead. They did line them up and kill them all. I'm going to shut up there. I'm going to go back and look into that stuff. I like that. That's a cool puzzle piece. Having people here that's family, and then Tara and Rick and them, they're the community that can bring those two communities together. They could bring lost siblings together, hence bring the communities together, earn your trust, earn their loyalty. I mean, you're bringing their family back, man. They would definitely come together and fight, especially if the people in the junkyard want to fight, if they know of Negan and the Saviors, which in this area they have to know of them. They have to at least have had a couple battles with them or something, but I think that would be so fucking cool if they used that, like the junkyard community wanted to fight, and they were able to reunite because of the people at Alexandria, and the people at Oceanside were convinced, once they were reunited with the people from the junkyard, they were convinced by their own people, long lost relatives, yada yada yada, they were convinced to load up their arms and go fight, because that would be the bodies that they need, the army they need at the junkyard. And we've seen them. Not all of them had guns, though. There was only a few guns. A lot of them had knives and shit like that. And then you see the ammo from the Oceanside. So that would be the perfect puzzle piece to get all that working. I don't know. My brain's going a million miles an hour. You got bodies on this side. You got guns on this side. And you have a story that could possibly weave it all together. Something's missing. You give me your thoughts and opinions down in the comment box. What do you think is missing? Put your predictions down below. I'm done talking. It's your turn.